In 1960, the British author C.S. Lewis lost his wife Joy to bone cancer. Lewis had been a lifelong bachelor and had only been married to Joy for 3 years. The loss of his beloved wife was devastating to him. In the wake of her death, Lewis wrote a journal in order to process what he was experiencing. In the work, we see Lewis both looking along his pain by feeling and experiencing it firsthand, as well as looking at his pain by analyzing it from the outside in order to discern its meaning. In this passage, we will hear Lewis wrestling with God in order to find meaning in his pain. Please welcome to the stage Junior Jessie Levasheff.
It's not true that I'm always thinking of them. Work and conversation make that impossible. But the times when I'm not are perhaps my worst. For then, though I have forgotten the reason, there is spread over everything a vague sense of wrongness, of something amiss. Like in those dreams where nothing terrible occurs, nothing that would sound even remarkable if you told it at breakfast time. But the atmosphere, the taste of the whole thing is deadly. So with this. I see the rowan berries reddening and don't know for a moment why they, of all things, should be depressing. I hear a clock strike and some quality it always had before has gone out of the sound. What is wrong with the world to make it so flat, shabby, worn out looking? Then I remember. This is one of the things that I'm afraid of. The agonies, the mad midnight moments must, in the course of nature, die away. But what will follow? Just this apathy? This dead flatness? Will there come a time when I no longer ask why the world is like a mean street, because I shall take the squalor as normal? Does grief finally subside into boredom tinged by faint nausea? Feelings and feelings and feelings. Let me try thinking instead from the rational point of view. What new factor does their death introduce into the problem of the universe? What grounds does it give me for doubting all that I believe? I knew already that these things, and worse, happened daily. I would have said that I had taken them into account. I had been warned. I had warned myself not to reckon on worldly happiness. We were even promised sufferings. They were part of the program. We were even told, "Blessed are they that mourn." And I accepted it. I've got nothing that I hadn't bargained for. Of course, it is different when the thing happens to oneself, not to others, and in reality, not in imagination, yes. But should it for a sane person make quite such a difference as this? No. And it wouldn't for a person whose faith had been real faith and whose concern for other people's sorrows had been real concern. The case is too plain. If my house has collapsed at one blow, that it was because it was a house of cards. The faith which took these things into account was not faith, but imagination. The taking them into account was not real sympathy if I had really cared, as I thought I did. I would not have been so overwhelmed when my own sorrow came. It has been an imaginary faith, playing with innocuous counters labeled illness, pain, death, and loneliness. I thought I trusted the rope until it mattered to me whether it would bear me. Now it matters, and I find I didn't. Bridge players tell me that there must be some money on the game or else people won't take it seriously. Apparently it's like that. Your bid, for God or no God, for a good God or the cosmic sadist, for eternal life or non-entity will not be serious if nothing much is staked on it. And you will never discover how serious it was until the stakes are raised horribly high. Until you find that you are not playing for counters or for sixpences, but for every penny you have in the world. Nothing less will shake a person, or at any rate, a person like me, out of their merely verbal thinking and their merely notional beliefs. We have to be knocked silly before we come to our senses. Only torture will bring out the truth. Only under torture do we discover it ourselves. And I must surely admit, he would have forced me to admit in a few passes that if my house was a house of cards, the sooner it was knocked down, the better. And only suffering could do it. But then the cosmic sadist and eternal vivisector becomes an unnecessary hypothesis. Is this last note a sign that I'm incurable? That when reality smashes my dream to bits, I mope and snarl while the first shock lasts, and then patiently, idiotically, start putting it together again? And so, always. However often the house of cards falls, shall I set about rebuilding it? Is that what I'm doing now? Indeed, it's likely enough that what I shall call, if it happens, a restoration of faith will turn out to be only one more house of cards. And I shan't know whether it is or not until the next blow comes. When, say, fatal disease is diagnosed in my body too. Or war breaks out. Or I have ruined myself by some ghastly mistake. But there are two questions here. In which sense may it be a house of cards? Because the things I am believing are only a dream? Or because I only dream that I believe them?